This is a mic check for the While We Wait podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for the podcast.
This is how we do.
Boom, boom, boom.
This is how we do.
While
Welcome back to the While We Wait podcast.
we wait, God works. My name is Nathan. This is my wife.
I'm Denisha.
We're the Roberts family. All right, guys, we've gone over so much of kind of like from beginning to where we're at now, all the steps in between. We've taken you a little bit on the roller coaster of emotion, our spiritual walk with Jesus, what it's like to go to the doctor's office for the first time, and so on. And we've explained to you kind of chronologically that we went and attempted to use IVF. And we are continuing to have our appointments with them and kind of leave that open. But the treatment for that was kind of ending, and we hadn't been successful yet. We found another doctor, Dr. Joe Bova, a great guy. We started working with him for about a year, right? Maybe a little bit longer than a year.
Yeah.
And kind of the same process had played out. We learned new things. There was a lot of things that were helpful. Really big, important things. We found out about diagnoses and what the root cause issues were. And yet the treatment didn't seem to be producing the results that we were hoping for, which was to have a child. And so we had come to this spot where we're in like a bit of a lull, not sure what, as far as medically, what we were going to do next. Of course, that kind of brings up things spiritually, heart matters, thoughts in your head, about where you're at and what's the next step to take. And so that's kind of the space that we were in at that time. We're going to kind of talk to you about what happened next.
Okay, so that brings us to our last appointment with Joe Bova. What was happening was that he was trying to treat me naturally for hormonal support and address my thyroid issue. And for a while, it was going well. My hormones were getting better. My thyroid was not really getting that better. My antibodies kept going up higher and higher. And throughout the treatment, he was just advising me, like, let's just wait it out and see what happens. You know, we're obviously trying to push your body to do something and your thyroid is reacting. But then we got to a point where my hormones started to plateau with how they were rising and trending in a positive way. And then my antibodies had gone from like 13 to 720. So my thyroid was not happy with what was happening. And so we just kind of had a conversation about like, hey, we know that God is still in control, but this might be the end of the road for us. And that was kind of a tough, even though we anticipated that might happen, it was just tough because I didn't really feel led to go a different way, a different direction. And I don't know, I don't think you did either. And so we kind of hit this spot where I felt a little bit lost for just a minute. Like, okay, Lord, it feels like we were like going somewhere and now we're not. And I'm not really sure what to do next. And I remember maybe a couple of days after that, I was like scrolling on Instagram and it happened to be Infertility Awareness Month. I didn't know that. And they were hosting an infertility awareness panel of Black women who also are walking through similar journeys out in Dallas, Texas. Now, I've never been to Texas, but there was definitely an attraction and a desire for me to go to an event like this. I was just looking for some encouragement, to feel part of a community, hear other people's stories, hear how they had success, and just, you know, get a little jolt of joy and hope. And so I fly out to Dallas, Texas for one day, like I think it was even less than 24 hours. I'm not sure, but I fly out to Dallas, Texas. I go to this panel and it was amazing to hear other women who look like me talk about their experiences. Women were talking about endometriosis. They were talking about IVF, miscarriages, and it was just a blessing to be able to hear other people's stories. And on this panel, there was a doctor, a fertility doctor named Dr. Jones. And after the panel was over, I just felt led to go introduce myself and talk to her. So I go to this doctor and I'm like, here's my situation. I was like, what would you tell someone in my position? And she was like, I really encourage you to build your team. Don't just settle for one doctor's advice. Have other people come on who are from different practices, from different angles. This is, sometimes these cases are pretty complex, and you want to get people from different angles to kind of lay their eyes on your case. And she was like, I highly recommend this reproductive immunologist. And I was like, what is that? A doctor named Dr. Ubitz, and he is in Florida. Ubiz.
Bees, yeah.
Dr. Ubiz, he's in Florida. She was like, now he's always booked. You may not get in, but it might be worth reaching out and seeing if he'll take your case. And so I was like, okay, great. So we pray about it, and we get all our files together, and we submit our case to this doctor. We get an email, and it says, welcome to our practice. And I was like, they accepted us.
And our insurance accepted it.
And I was sure, that was a huge blessing. And so it was a blessing, number one, that he's one of 6 doctors in the U.S. So just imagine how many patients they have across the board. And he's number 3 in the list, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But I think he's number 3 on the list, right?
Number 1 in our books.
Number 1 in our books. And we got accepted to his practice. And we didn't have to sprawl out all this money or delay because our insurance covered it. So that was like just a huge blessing. I just felt like so much favor from the Lord. So we meet with Dr. J, and he explains to us, hey, like, this is kind of the end of the road for women who are walking through infertility. He's like, women who I'm seeing are like 45 and up, or they've had 4 or 5 miscarriages, or you know what I mean? This is at the end of the line. He goes, there's a war in your body. We need to figure out where you are in this war, at the beginning, middle, or end. And obviously we don't want to talk about at the end. Yeah, at the end. And I was like, ooh. And of course, because of my history in this whole thing, I was like, well, I'm probably at the end. That was my thought process. We're like, So what comes next? We did testing, right?
Yeah, we had to do like a crazy amount of testing. We had to we had like someone come to our house to like draw blood, right?
Yeah.
Or was it before? No, before that we went to a couple labs, and they pulled like
19 tubes of blood.
Yeah, it was something crazy, like 40 tubes of blood or something. No, I'm just kidding. It was 19
tubes of blood.
It was insane.
I had to split it up in 2 because the lab was like, you need to drink water. We can't take this much blood. So I split up in 2, but it was 19 tubes of blood. And so he ran all these kind of tests.
Yeah, he checked everything, and it gets like sent out like across the country to like a specialized lab in Michigan or
somewhere.
I think it's in Michigan.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago. Rosalind, Franklin.
Yeah. Chicago. So it gets sent out to like this specialized lab, and they're like one of the only labs in the country that do this kind of like testing or whatever. So we were just like felt like we were like on the cutting edge of like some kind of crazy like medical treatment, what was going on. And then eventually we started having someone come to our home to do it.
Yeah.
So someone comes over, and it's not as many tubes this time, though, right? No. We figured it out. He was checking on everything, and now like kind of honed it in. And so, but yeah, those first couple times was like
so with the baseline testing, he just tested. I can't even go into all the tests. Maybe I'll put a little description, but he tested my NK cells. He tested anti-phospholipids. That's how you say it, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of
phenotype, all the things. He obviously the CBC and the CMP.
A lot of letters.
a lot of letters. Anyways, long story short, we go through this testing, and we get back our results, and he's walking through these with us. And what he finds is that I had elevated NK cells, very high, and I also had elevated anti-ovarian antibodies.
Mm-hmm. So NK cells, those are like
natural killer cells.
Natural killer cells.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we found out you're a natural killer.
So I had elevated natural killer cells, and I had elevated anti-ovarian antibodies. So these are antibodies that are solely present to attack your ovaries. He basically tells us, here's what I do. So you go to CNY, you get IVF. You go to a rheumatoid or arthritis doctor or immunology, and they just focus on your immune system. He is trying to do both, but he is just targeting the markers that would affect your fertility. And so he would say, it's not my I can't control whether or not you get pregnant, but I can bring your immune system into submission. This feels like a sermon. Bring your immune system into submission so that it can be at a non-defensive position when and if you will conceive. So for a period of time, I started to take immune suppressant meds, and OMG, it really rocked me. First of all, I had to go on a med fast. So just to backtrack, I had been on hormone replacement meds since I was 19. Estradiol, progesterone, all this, right? And now I had gone 2 or 3 years into treatment. And what he wanted me to do is stop any hormonal meds for a span of, was it 2 months?
I think so, yeah.
Or 3 months?
I think it was 2. I think it was 8
2
weeks.
months, no meds, completely purge my system of the meds and start fresh. And that raked me. I had high blood pressure. I had heart palpitations.
Yeah.
What else? I don't even know. My diet, my appetite. It was a mess. I had hot flashes. I would be standing up in church on Sundays getting ready for worship, looking at Nate like, I'm going to pass out if I don't sit down. Like, I was on stage, the whole worship team is standing, and I'm in a stool. Just trying my best to keep it together. Now, I'm already nervous because I'm leading a song or whatever, and then I'm, like, about to, like, pass out. So that was a scary time, but I was just trying to be obedient and stay faithful to the process. And so we pass out 2 months, and we get a call, and he's like, your labs look good. I'm going to give you guys the green light to start trying. And I was like nervous. I didn't know if we were going to get it. Even when he said it, I looked at Nate and I was like, did he really just say that? And we were like, okay. Okay, and so then in this moment, it felt like we were, again, we were taking another huge leap into some new territory. So now we're going from hormonal, fertility treatment to no fertility treatment and just straight treating my immune system. And so it was a little scary to step into that, but I was like also excited, like, okay, let's see what God's gonna do with this,
Well, I thought it was exciting.
Yeah.
It was nice to kind of look at it from a different angle and be like, oh, we're treating an actual. Felt like we were treating an actual problem rather than like trying to produce something.
Some results, yeah. And so I was like, all right, Lord, I'm leaving the fertility up to you, and I'm just gonna focus on treating my immune system. And my thought was like, okay, at the end of this, if we don't conceive, at least I will be more healthy overall. Mm-hmm. Knowing now what's going on with my immune system. Like, that's how I approached it. I was like, okay, cool. If we don't have a baby, that's fine. At least I'll know I'll be overall more healthy after this. So let's go, right? Yeah. And so now we have 12 weeks to try and conceive. And
when was this? Like, what was the time frame?
Was September of 2025.
Yeah, so not that long ago from when we're making this. Yeah. We're making this video now, this podcast.
Yeah, and so this is September. We go into trying, and we get to week 3. And on this particular day, something, I didn't have any alarming things happening. I just felt like a sense of something's going on. And so I go to the store and I grab a pregnancy test. At first I was testing once a week, I think, and then I kind of just backed off. And so it had been
It was more.
It was more. I had backed off. This was my first time buying a pregnancy test in a while. Okay?
She has a problem.
And so I go to the store, I grab a pregnancy test, and I come home, pitter-patter past Nate up the stairs to the bathroom. And I think subconsciously I was like, this is just a routine. I wasn't really expecting anything. So I take the test, put it on the side, and I'm just scrolling on my phone, the toilet, just hanging out. And I happen to look over, and it's a digital test. So it's either not pregnant, 2 lines, or pregnant, 1 line, meaning the words. So I look over and there's one.
Wait, so it's the lines or it's words?
So there's words, but if you look at the test, it goes not pregnant or pregnant. So there's either you're going to see a double line or you're going to a single line of the words. So I look at the test and it's a single line. And I was like, completely like, so then I stand up and I'm like, and the test said pregnant.
Yeah. First one out of 1,000.
First one.
Probably literally like,
After,
I mean, it took like a couple hundred.
Yeah, after 5 years, we had our first big, fat, positive pregnancy test. And I was in shock, obviously. I had all these plans in my mind of like how I would tell Nate, and I would wait and I would make this big setup. And I was just like I truly was shocked. And I felt a little like convicted too. I was like, oh, did I really not believe God was going to do it? Because I was like, why am I, I was really shocked. And so I yelled out to Nate, I was like, can you go to the store and get me some water? I'm just trying to like I get him out of the house.
She asked me to go buy water.
I asked him to go buy water. I'm like, you need to get out of this house. I need to set something up. So he's like, you mean more than the gallons that we have in the kitchen? And I was like, yes.
I had just bought water,
he's
by
like,
the way.
yes, yeah.
Like the day before. We don't drink our tap here. So.
Yeah. And so he runs out to get water, and I'm just like a mess. I'm in here like crying, worshiping, setting up stuff. And so Nate comes home, and we share a moment that I think we've both been looking forward to for a while.
Yeah, it's one of the best moments in my life, for sure. It was exciting.
Yeah.
She had set up like this little display almost, and had like a little board with. It's just I think we're gonna show a video of it, so you'll see it. But just one of the most exciting, special, precious moments of my entire life, and certainly my life with Denisha. Is just pretty cool. So
yeah. And so over the next couple of weeks, we probably will have like walk through one of like the most exciting and also like hardest times of our marriage. And so,
well, something else that happened too is that the Sunday before this, one of the leaders in our church had preached a message on healing.
Yeah.
Remember this? So he had preached a message on healing, which isn't like I don't know about your church, but that's not like a super physical healing is not something that we like preach on every week. We talk about it and pray about it all the time, but this was kind of like, it was like a special service, and then we had this thing. We're like, wow, what's going on here?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then we had our nephew, Lincoln, the night before.
Oh, yeah.
Nate had drove out to pick him up from the airport, and he was like, well, Uncle Nate, this is your 4th year of marriage. You guys might have a baby this year.
Yeah.
And so, so it was the most exciting, overwhelming time, So we shared the moment together, and then, of course, we had to walk through this whole journey with our community, our family, our friends. So called people, we told them, prayed with the people, we told our church family.
Yeah.
And the next step was for us to, we told the doctors, and they wanted to confirm. And so it was a whirlwind of emotions. It was exciting. I was also very nervous, and so over the next couple of weeks, we went and got blood tests, and I just knew from the first blood results that we got back that something was not right. So over the next couple of weeks, we're just going and getting labs. I'm getting labs every other day, and we are slowly watching. I'm having a miscarriage. Like the numbers are just getting lower and lower and lower. And it took almost a month for the pregnancy to resolve. Yeah, it was like...
It was torture. It was like you were waiting for a turnaround. People are going, well, we don't know. It still says this and everything like that. But you're just like not really moving in a positive direction, but no one wants to tell you the answer.
Yeah.
So you kind of know, and it's just like, just kept going and going and going.
Yeah.
It was
a rough time. And so we are together walking through what we see as a miscarriage. Also starting a church. So we're launching our church for the first time. Also, I lose a dear family member as well. I lose my aunt at the same time in that same month. And so I was just, I don't know how to explain it.
I don't know, how do you explain it? It was really difficult. It was really hard. It certainly was like a valley of the soul for sure. And you had kind of this like exciting, challenging stuff going on when it comes to like starting a church, and then you have um, this huge community of faith around you who doesn't really know every doesn't we they don't really know the inside story of like what we're walking through like day to day, and they're just being super encouraging, and then you have like this experience of like just like waiting to hear some bad news basically that you know is kind of already there, and then you lose your aunt, and it's just really difficult time. I,
Yeah.
you know, I wish I had better words to describe it. It's just it's like sorrowful. It's like
Yeah.
it's deep. It's heavy, and yeah, you just feel like you're just like swimming in like an angst. That's how it was for me.
Yeah.
I think angst is like the word where it's just like your heart is just kind of groaning. It's just like a
Yeah.
feeling that's
Yeah.
deep down inside.
Yeah, I was trying my best to hold it together. And I think having this new mission that we had to start a church plant really, really kept me above ground.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. There's nothing like when God like calls you to like a ministry, his timing is perfect, and he knows that like if you're close to him, like doing what he wants you to do, then you're close to that source of joy. You're close to the fountain of living waters, and it just gives you perspective and purpose, and really helps you like turn your eyes away from like some of the things of earth, and helps you just it like really keeps you afloat. It really keeps you afloat. That's why we've talked about in other episodes, but if you go back to the episode where we kind of go through our list of do's and do nots, like being like isolated, not serving God, getting hyper focused on your desires is just not an option. It's like the quickest way to sink, and we were like in a lot of ways held up by the mission that God had called us to.
Yeah, and for me, I just felt like there was a level of accountability that I would be responsible for. And so it was like, okay, I can fall apart during the week, but by Saturday night, I need to get it together because I need to be up greeting people,
Yeah.
like, and so I was just grateful to have something to do that required a
Yeah.
lot of me.
Yeah, we would strap up our armor, and
Yeah.
we would just get it put on, and helmet of salvation strapped, breastplate of righteousness, belt of truth, put some shoes on our feet with the gospel, and be like, let's go. We've got a fight to get involved in, and it was just
Yeah, I wasn't that enthusiastic though, as he was. I was like pretty down. I was just like I was confused. I was frustrated. I felt lost. I was still coming down from this like excitement of like finally getting my miracle, then like going from that to like this space where you're waiting. And so over the next like 6 weeks, I'm just going to the lab every other day, watching my HCG level go down and down and down and down. And so it wasn't like, okay, you had a miscarriage, now you get to like move on and just grieve. It's like, no, this is like that baby was holding on for a minute. And so that was tough. And so, you ask yourself, okay, where how do I walk through hope even in this? How do I do that? And I remember Nate praying a prayer over me and just being like, God, like, we can't work from a place of like total like discouragement. Like, we need you to come in and like equipped us to be able to move forward. And so I mean,
And he did it.
He did
Yeah,
it.
yeah, he did it.
Yeah.
He definitely answered that prayer. Yeah, I think we both had the kind of like different like feelings, emotions, concerns like going into it, but the result like was the same. We both like stepped up to what had to be done in front of us, and went and got it done, and God answered our prayers. He says that whatsoever you ask in my name, I'll do it, and we were definitely asking in his name and according to his will. It was clear.
Yeah.
And he did it. So
Yeah.
probably should have asked bigger.
Yeah. And so I think the hardest moments for me in that time was um, praying and talking to God.
Mm-hmm.
That was really hard. Um, Getting up and going to church on Sundays and saying everything's okay for the many people that ask, how's it going? How's the baby? How are you feeling? Are you tired? For a couple of weeks, we just kept it between him and I. And so everybody is supporting us on the pregnancy end, and we're walking through a miscarriage. And so that was pretty hard. And then the other thing was standing up at my aunt's funeral, being like, I just lost somebody really huge, and in the meantime, I'm also losing the baby that's inside of me, and just kind of like just a lot of loss, a lot of grief. It was very heavy, and yeah, I was for the first time. I was just like, really? I was like, really though, God, like, like, come on. I was like,
Yeah.
I just kept asking, what was the point of this? Like, what was the point of getting me here? And then, and so I was just very, very, very confused. But also on the other side of that, I also felt more hope than I ever had in my entire life.
Yeah.
So you can imagine just feeling a little overwhelmed by balancing those two feelings.
What do you think it was?
What do you think what
You
was?
say like you had more hope than ever.
Oh,
Like,
because I think it was also a great display of God's power.
Mm-hmm.
I think, it was like God can do anything at any time, and it was truly a miracle because we went to doctor's appointments, and the doctors are looking at my labs, being like, how did you get pregnant?
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't make any sense. This hormone is down. This hormone is down. Like, and I remember one doctor saying, "Wow, you got pregnant against all odds."
Yeah.
And so it was truly a miracle. And so, yeah, so I had more hope than anything, even in the midst of like this extreme grief that I had. And so, walking through, it took me a while to reconcile between those two. And I think I'm still recovering now in terms of like my relationship with the Lord, like the intimacy of it, But I can remember quick revelation. I remember I was this particular day, like I did not feel like praying. I just felt like pretty just down, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna, stumble in obedience. I'm just gonna go in my prayer closet, and I'm just gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. That way, if the Lord has something for me, I'm at least in the position to receive it, no matter what I feel. And so, I go in my prayer closet and I sit down. I sit down on the floor and I have my hands down near me, and I'm just like, all right, God, I'm here, And then I pick up my Bible and I open it, and it opens to Hebrews 12. And I'm going to read what that says, because it really, really was encouraging in the moment for me. So it's Hebrews chapter 12, verse 11. And it says, "For the moment, all discipline seems painful rather than pleasant, but later it yields the peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. Therefore, lift up your drooping hands and strengthen your weak knees, and make straight paths for your feet, so that what is lame may not be put out of joint, but rather be healed." I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
And so I feel like God was just really just being like, come on, just keep moving, keep
Yeah.
moving. Um, so that was encouraging, and I always go back to that verse.
Yeah, you've brought it up so many
Yeah,
times. It's definitely been like a verse that's like really anchored you for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. And so once we confirmed that, we had lost the baby, and our hormones got back to the level of in the negative range, then we had to go and tell our parents and our friends, and I really left most of it to Nate. I told like a few people, and then I was like, you know, I couldn't. I was like, no, I can't do this. Not for the sake of hiding, but just like still being pretty raw and
Yeah,
not really ready to have that exchange with people, or take on what they're feeling. You know what I mean?
right.
Like it was just tough, and so, and the people that I did talk to, it was like, you know, it was great. It was encouraging, just what I needed, and
I started to realize during this time there's a verse in Proverbs that I had read before, but it's a verse that I had read before, and maybe there were some other experiences in my life where I could have connected it, but it didn't come to me or anything like that. And now there's this verse is in Proverbs. It says, "Hope deferred makes the heart sick," and I was just like, "Yes, it does. It really, really does. It really makes your heart sick." And just like this kind of like expectation right at the tip of your fingers, and then like feels like it's been pulled away, and you're just it just kind of like messes you up.
yeah,
And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And even it was just helpful for me to have um, like it wasn't necessarily an encouragement, but like the Word of God knew exactly what I was going through, and then prescribed, just told me what it is, just gave me the diagnosis of the situation. Why do I feel this way? Oh, because your hope's been deferred. It's like, oh, okay, all right. And that was without like any special answers. That was like really helpful for me, just to know like this is what happens, this is what's going on, and that God understood, and that God knew, was just encouraging. And this isn't like a devotion, but you come around to some other things that you think of. And when David lost his child, and he said, "I he'll not come to me, but I will go to him." And you think of there's one other scripture that kind of came to my mind, just as we were kind of walking through this, and still walking through it. But set your affections on things above, not on things of the earth. And what I think we both realized, but I can say this, personally, we've talked about this, but I think it like kind of occurred to my spirit first, was this sudden idea that this sort of what felt like a little bit of like a tragedy and a huge disappointment, actually made me focus a little bit more on eternity than I had been already. Because we just said, if this is a child, then we have a child waiting for us.
yeah,
And it just made us think about like what all the possibilities. What does that mean?
yeah,
What are they doing? What are they getting? What are we going to be prepared for? What is our life going to be like? We're going to have 1,000 years here and then eternity there, and it's just your mind started working, and you're just like, there's something we can't imagine, something pretty awesome is happening, and your heart's sick, but your spirit and your eyes are like focused even if just a little bit more on eternal things than they are on earthly things. And like like the song says, the things of this earth grow strangely dim. It's like, oh, I kind of feel that happening a little bit.
yeah. And so, for those of you asking, well, how did you continue to walk in hope in that time? And I think going back to our list of things to do, I just took those out of the vault, stayed in contact with my community, kept serving, just suffering and serving. I think walking in hope was my only option. I didn't really see another option. It wasn't. I wasn't gonna walk through anger. I wasn't gonna like sink into a depression. You know, I had things that the Lord still had things for me to do, and so I just leaned more on into the wow, God can really actually do this. You know, like God has shown me a clear sign of His power, and I just forgot. I just remember this. A week before we got a positive pregnancy test, I prayed and I said, Lord, when is this gonna happen? Like, when is this part gonna be over? When is the waiting gonna be over? Like, when are we gonna get to the other part? And after that, post miscarriage, I was like, man, God, I was just getting to a point where I had like fully across the board was just like peaceful, and like, we were trying, but it was over here, and I was thrown into ministry and this, and I had finally was like kind of felt like I was like, all right, like I feel like the brightness was like I was beaming and it was great, and then I was just kind of like in this frame of mind like, all right, I'm walking in faith over the next 3 months from that to like oh yeah. um, we had a miracle, baby's in heaven now, and now we have to kind of like recover from this loss, at the same time grieving and supporting my family through making funeral arrangements for my aunt and starting a church plant. And so there was just a lot of a whirlwind of emotions, and I don't know, I just thank God for getting us through that, covering us. Thankful for my husband, and I'm just very godly proud of us for how we walked through that.
Definitely. I think we look back and we like don't have any like that we look back and there's not like any regrets.
Yeah.
And like spiritually, I think you can use this term. I was gonna say proud, but I think we're just like satisfied, and we're like, yeah, we never like we never have, and we won't like let go.
Yeah.
Of the faith that we have, the beliefs that we have, what Jesus has given us, and just the possibility of a life with God and how awesome it can be. That's nothing we're ever going to give up. And I think the last few months have shown that that's true for us.
Yeah. And so for me, since then, I've kind of kept in my mind a couple of things: stumbling obedience, a heart posture of reverence for the Lord and His power in my prayer life, seeking the Lord, and holding on to the hem of His garment. It's the best way to explain
That's
it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to invite you guys a little bit into like some secret, like we talked about some of them, but like just some of the moments of our life. So stay tuned and keep watching.
Yeah. Okay.
It's good. Yeah. It's a good spot. Did a good job, babe. I don't think I use your triangle anymore for the moment. You're good. How do you feel?
Good.
Yeah. Was it good to talk about it? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, babe.
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you run and grab a gallon of spring water, please? Thank you, babe.
Yeah. You okay?
Yeah.
This? What are you trying to tell me? Yo! Are you kidding me? Yes.
You're gonna be a grandpapa. have a cousin.
I gotta go outside.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, anyways, I got a little miracle on.
Oh my god!
You are! Anthony's having a baby.
Yo!
Mommy! The baby?
Yeah! Ah! That's amazing!
You know, there's going to be a baby coming in 9 months.
I think just like that. Comes through and gives the Roberts family an absolute